My final semester of college was supposed to be the home stretch. Graduation, job hunting, maybe a trip abroad with some friends. I never expected that a random Tuesday afternoon, walking across campus like I always did, would be the day I died. Not literally. At least, not completely. I was crossing a narrow lane that cut through the middle of campus when I heard a rev of an engine. A deep, impatient sound. A football player I vaguely recognized was behind the wheel of an oversized SUV. He didn't slow down. The next moment is a blank. They told me later that he got frustrated I was in the way. He weighed 325 pounds. I weighed 120. He got out of the car and hit me once. That's all it took. I crumpled. My head hit the curb hard enough to knock me unconscious, long enough to dream a different life. I opened my eyes to sunlight pouring through gauzy white curtains. A voice called from the kitchen, warm, sweet, familiar. "You're going to be late, babe." Her name was Leah. I didn't know how I knew it, but I loved her instantly. She wore a loose cardigan and no makeup, and she still made my heart ache. My face flushed every time she smiled at me. We were already together, married, in love. I had no memory of how we got there, just the deep, unshakable knowledge that we belonged to each other. I had a steady job in a downtown office. She stayed home with our daughter, who was 2 years old and obsessed with stuffed animals. 2 years later, our son was born. He had a mop of brown hair, and every morning before work, I'd go into his room, brush the hair from his forehead, and whisper, "See you tonight, little man." The years passed in quiet, beautiful rhythms. Bedtime stories, rainy mornings, holidays with too much laughter. My life was full, it was real. Until it wasn't. It started with the lamp, a red lamp with a square gold-trimmed base and a white shade. It sat in the corner of our living room beside the couch. One night I looked at it and realized something was off. The dimensions seemed inverted. Not flat, not abstract, it still occupied space, but the perspective was wrong, like a mirror folding in on itself. I stared at it, I couldn't look away. The next morning I didn't go to work, I sat on the couch fixated on that lamp. 3 days passed, I didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't move. Leah cried. She brought friends over. Then she packed up the kids and left for her mother's. Alone in the house, the lamp grew. Not physically, but perceptually. It swallowed my vision, my awareness, until the red and gold were all I could see. I heard whispers, screams, echoes, then pain. A surge of pain that shattered everything. And then, I woke up. I was lying on a sidewalk, blood in my mouth. Strangers hovered over me. Someone said something about teeth. I muttered, "I'm missing teeth." A cop pulled me upright, half-dragged me across grass, and dumped me into the back of a patrol car. I was so disoriented I didn't even fight it. The hospital confirmed it. Head trauma, mild brain swelling, fractured cheekbone, lost molars. But that wasn't the real damage. That came later. I spent the next 3 years in grief. Not over what had happened to me physically, but over what I had lost. Or rather, what had never existed. My wife, my daughter, my son. None of them were real. I remembered Leah's voice, the smell of her hair, the lullabies she sang. I remembered the curve of my daughter's cheek as she slept, my son's tiny hand gripping my finger, and yet, I never saw them again. Not even in dreams. Except my son. Sometimes just before waking, I'd see him in my peripheral vision. 5 years old, standing in the doorway. I'd turn, but he was gone. Always gone. I'd hear him whispering, but never catch the words. People say it was a coma dream. A hallucination. Some glitch in memory. Maybe they're right. But here's what I know. I loved them. I still love them. And grief doesn't care whether something was real or not. It only cares that it's gone. And every time I walk past a red lamp with gold trim, I look twice, just in case.